Joining me now is Democratic pollster Margie Omero and Republican strategist Joe Watkins, a former aide to President George H.W. Bush. Good to see both of you. Margie, kick it off for us here. You know, we know that red and purple state Democrats vulnerable right now, but is it enough to just distance themselves from the president? And you heard Claire McCaskill very clear. No, I don't necessarily want the president there.
Well, I think for any Democrat running, wherever they're running, the secret is going to be to communicate personally to voters, to make sure voters understand their story, and also make sure voters know that the candidate understands them, that the candidate really cares about what voters are going through. And that's something that Democrats in purple states, in red states, and blue states have a very clear advantage over Republicans on. Republicans' favorability as a party is just been sinking. It's lower than Democrats' popularity. Republicans in Congress and the Republican-led Congress have record low approval ratings. So I think Democrats are going to have a lot of strength just in the image of both parties. Is
the president kryptonite right now, is what you're saying to some of these candidates?
No, I don't think the president is kryptonite. I think, you know, a lot of these candidates have had and will continue to have points of differentiation between themselves and the president, and that's typical in these more Republican-leaning or purple states. Mm-hmm. And I think that is consistent with what we've seen. You know, whether you've had Republicans in blue-leaning areas and mm-hmm. Democrats in red-leaning areas, and that's normal. That's a normal part of the variation that we have on the Democratic side. The big tent we have on the Democratic side, as opposed to the more narrow cast that you see on the Republican side, where candidates are all right to the right.
Margie, please.
All right. You'll get your word right now, Joe. Let's talk about the Republican tent. You know, the Koch brothers, Group Americans for Prosperity, spending big right now on TV ads. North Carolina spent more than $8 million so far, more than all the Democratic outside groups in every Senate race in the country combined. And if you were to look at those numbers, you know, at that current pace, at this run rate, that's more than $27 million by Election Day. That would be a number here, Joe, never seen in the state before. And the key point that they're making, as you saw in some of the ads we showed a moment ago, Obamacare, Obamacare, Obamacare. And is that enough here to decide the races?
Well, I think so. I think at the end of the day, you just got to reach out to Americans, whether they're Democrats or Republicans, and point out to them what isn't working for them. And every American, because the Affordable Care Act, or Obamacare as it's known by others, is a federal mandate. It means that every American, every business person has to abide by it. And because of that, everybody's been impacted. So if you're a woman and you're a small business owner, mm-hmm. Even if you like the president, you've been hurt by the Affordable Care Act.
And you know that small businesses are exempt from the employer responsibility payments. You know that. That's 96% of people.
Margie, you talk to a small business owner who doesn't have the money to pay for services, to pay for an accountant or a lawyer to come and interpret the act for her or for him if you're a man who owns or runs a small business. And they're scared to death right now. They don't know what to do. They know it's going to impact their profits. They're not going to hire anybody new because they don't want to have to be forced to pay for the health care of new workers. It's going to hurt us in a number of ways. And if you're a regular person and you don't own a business, and you thought you were going to be able to keep your health care because you liked your health care plan, nothing was wrong with your plan, and you liked your plan, and you liked paying what you paid for your plan, and then you found out, like so many Americans did, that now you cannot keep your plan, and the plan that you have to opt for is more expensive and gives you less, has a higher deductible. You're angry about that, and all these commercials are doing is pointing out the fact that if you don't like it, you have an option to do something about it by electing a Republican.
All right, Joe Watkins, Margie Omero, we'll have to leave it there. Thank you both for your time today.
Thank you,
Thanks so much.
Hey, you've been watching Wall Street.